With me I have Rabbi Yisrael Meir, who as a former chief rabbi of Israel represents the religious voice of this country, but who as a concentration camp survivor shows that humanity transcends religion. Rabbi, thank you so much for joining us here on RT today. You were liberated from the camp of Buchenwald at the age of 8. You've always said that your survival there was due to a Russian soldier.
There was one Fyodor of the city of Rostov. He knew I am Jewish. Even my nickname was Lulek. I spoke Polish only, blonde hair. He knew the truth, and he endangered his life 5 months, not once, to save mine. He used to steal potatoes to cook them in the yard of the barak, so I will have a hot soup daily. We arrived there at the beginning of January 45, 40 below zero. He prepared for me a defender of wool on my ears, because we had to stand in the appel, in the marches of hours with no hats. So in order to save my ears not to be frozen, he put under my hat this defender of wool, not for himself, for me. He used to come up 1 hour earlier every morning to clean up the barak and the toilets, which was my duty and my only justification to survive if I will clean it up. He made it 1 hour earlier so the child will have time to play, to be childish. When the American troops came on April 11, 45, and they were bombing from air, and the Germans were shooting with gun machines, he took me, and we ran to the gate. He threw me on the ground. He covered me with his own body, so the bullets will not hurt me. After the liberation, of course, he wanted to take with him to Russia, to Rostov, and I was ready to go. He was the hero of my childhood. But luckily I had my brother. Even he was very sick, and after the liberation he sent some guards to watch me so that Fyodor will not take me with him to Russia. I was looking after him 63 years and I failed. Now I know his name only because of a Gestapo document which was discovered last year, and the investigation of Professor Walters of Michigan University saw that the Gestapo was observing a soldier in Buchenwald, Barak 8, Fyodor Mikhailchenko of Rostov, who endangers his life to save the life of a Jewish child called Lulek. Unfortunately, he passed away almost 2 years ago.
Why do you think that he risked his life to save you?
Mankind's behavior is not always as bad as we think. Mercy is one of the fundamental points in our character. Charity, mercy, brotherhood. Not all the brothers are like Cain, who killed his own brother Abel. There were brothers like Moses and Aaron. One is ready to give up for the other. Fyodor was what we call a mensch, a human being. A human being in spite of the differences. I am Jewish, he is not. So he was my brother, almost a father to me. It's something natural.
Had you had the opportunity to meet him, what would you have said to him?
I would praise him. I wouldn't say a word. Just keep his hand, praise him. He saved my life. All my children owe him their very existence.
After all that you went through, how can you be sure that there is a God?
A God that you can judge him and understand all his decisions, it's not a God. I don't understand his decisions. A God is something much higher, on a different space. You cannot understand, you may ask, but you cannot know all the answers. And I know one thing, without him I wouldn't be here. So look the whole globe, look at the universe. Can you believe that without an Almighty it would be created, it would be done just by itself? The teeth are always here when you have to eat, near the tongue and the lips, and never here. You didn't find a child who was born with teeth on his arm or on his leg, always in his mouth, with the tongue, with everything. So must be someone who thought about it, someone who have created it. There are questions about his behavior. He didn't take any consultation with me to create this world. He is not obliged to ask me, no, Rabbi, now, what do you think? Am I right? Am I wrong? What to do? He never asked me an advice to create the ocean, or the moon, or the sun, or the stars, or the two of us.
Why did you want to be a rabbi?
My father, who perished in Treblinka by the Nazis in the age of 50, he was the 37th generation of a rabbinic dynasty in Europe, started by Maharam Rabbi Meir of Padova in Italy. He asked my brother, who was that time 16 years old, Naftali, to do all his efforts to save the life of the younger brother, 5 years old, myself, and if a miracle will happen and we will survive, to continue the rabbinic dynasty so the chain will be unbroken.
What do you see as the place of religion in the world today, especially seeing that the new gods have become things like business, success, achievement, money?
There was a joke, a very famous joke. Someone said, look, the American authorities in American history, over 230 years, on each coin and each banknote of money, dollar or $100 or 20 or 10 or 50, is written the slogan, in God we trust. The other said, this is the joke. Yes, but the problem is that for them, this is the God. The money, materialism, it's a joke only. Last few weeks, after the world crisis in the economy started in the Wall Street in New York, the heart of capitalism, you see that all these movements, ism, communism, socialism, imperialism, colonialism, and materialism collapsed, crashed down. More than every time in history, mankind's history, we need the faith in the Almighty to keep on a tradition, a religion, more than always, because there is no other address to rely on, to believe in, and to be based on.
Do you think it's wise for Israel to get involved in the Catholic Church's attempt to make Pope Pius XII a saint, bearing in mind his involvement in the Holocaust?
I cannot understand and of course not justify all these efforts to make Pius XII a saint in this generation, when people with the tattooed number of Auschwitz is still on their arms. I don't understand what's the hurry. Why? He didn't say a word officially about stop this genocide of 1.5 million babies and children and innocent 6 million people. One word. So how can you make it a saint?
There are many who think that the world is on the threshold of going to a new Cold War. If this is the case, where do you see the future of the Jewish people and the State of Israel in this new global political situation?
We have interest by saving the lives of all mankind in generally, and our nations particularly, and they are spread all over the globe, from Vladivostok till San Francisco, and from Helsinki till Melbourne. So we must keep friendship with all the nations, with all the governments who are ready to shake hands with us. We are always ready to shake hands.
Rabbi Lau, thank you very much for joining us here on Russia Today.
You are very welcome.